Hey, what is going on, guys? My name is Luca Russia, and today I want to talk about my favorite zombies map in any Call of Duty game ever, and that is Moon. Now, this might be surprising to some of you guys because people usually see Moon as a pretty favorable map where they say, okay, you know, it's in the top 10 best maps that have ever been made. It's usually 6 or 7, but most people don't actually have it at the top. Now, mine is obviously at the top because I'm making this video, but there's a lot of reasons for that, and I'm very, very nostalgic towards Moon. And before I get into this video real quick, tell me in the comment section down below, what is your guys' favorite map and why? I would really love to hear it. I'm going to read all the comments on this video. Anyway, let's get right into it. The Moon is a map that was never supposed to exist, because if you don't know, Jason Blundell actually said the Moon was originally planned to be a Paris map, and they were actually pretty far going through the map, right? They had all the framework, they were starting to actually do work on it, and then all of a sudden the Modern Warfare 3 trailer came out and it featured Paris. Now, obviously, to try not to compete with Modern Warfare 3 at the time and to try not to step on their toes, Treyarch actually had to change their map in a span of a couple of weeks, from this Paris map to Moon. So, for what it is, it was an incredibly well done map, especially in Black Ops 1, because they had a lot of hardware limitations and they did a lot with the map, and especially because they really only had about 5 or 6 weeks to actually make this thing as a whole. They had to make the whole audio, they had to do the whole gameplay, they had to do the Easter egg, they had to do everything for this map in basically about 5 or 6 weeks. And Jason Blundell said that the basic framework of the map was already worked out, like, you know, just generally the way that you run, that was all supposed to be somewhat the same, but obviously the whole Easter egg and everything around it wasn't actually supposed to be a thing, and then getting, you know, quote-unquote zero gravity to actually work, that was pretty astonishing, especially back in the Black Ops 1 days. And I've always been a pretty big spacer, and I've always enjoyed the idea of colonizing Mars, seeing if aliens are out there, looking at other planets and exploring them, right? That's something that really is a cool concept to me, and then all of a sudden you combine that aspect of space to zombies, which is one of my favorite things of all time, and I was highly addicted to it when Moon came out in 2011. That was just a match made in heaven. There really wasn't anything that they could do wrong there. Even if the map was actually terrible, there just wasn't anything that they could do wrong in my mind, especially at that point because of my addiction to zombies. And then you add space to it, which was an unprecedented thing at the time, especially in Call of Duty Zombies, which had a lot of popularity, but it wasn't nearly as popular as it is now, and it doesn't make the money that it does now, right? Where all of a sudden they just decided, you know what, we're gonna go real ballsy on this one, and we're actually going to go to the Moon. And then you add in the best Easter egg ending of all time in any Call of Duty Zombies map, blowing up the Earth. That was something that was so shocking to the community at that point, where it was, wait a second, we just actually blew up the Earth. Like, does that mean our characters are dead? Does that mean that, you know, the storyline is over here? Does that mean zombies is over? What does this actually mean? Does this mean that Samantha won? There were so many questions that went through the community at that time, and we really didn't have any answers. And yes, that set up the events of Black Ops 2, and I guess, you know, people could say by proxy created Transit, but to be honest with you, I actually enjoyed Victus, which is the Transit crew, right? I actually enjoyed these guys, to be honest with you, and Black Ops 2 is my favorite zombies game of all time, so I really can't, you know, say that it ended up bad for me. Something else that just popped into my head is, imagine Treyarch actually went back and redid the Moon Easter egg ending and made it a cinematic cutscene like they did in Black Ops 3. That would be absolutely gorgeous, because especially in 2017 with the new hardware that we actually have and what Treyarch can actually do with their team nowadays, that would be absolutely stunning, and hands down, it would already make a 10 out of 10 cutscene a like 15 out of 10 or 20 out of 10. It would be absolutely nuts. So now that I've talked about the storyline and the Easter egg cutscene, let's get into the meat and potatoes of things, the actual gameplay and the map itself. Was it good? Yes. Was it perfect? No. Every map is going to have some sort of fault to it, but Moon was, in my mind, at least probably a 9 out of 10 as far as gameplay was concerned, because you had a really overpowered wonder weapon, which was the wave gun. You had all the weird movement, and I actually do like the movement in some of the newer games, right? I liked Advanced Warfare, I liked Black Ops 3, not a huge fan of Infinite Warfare as a multiplayer, but I do like the actual sliding and the movement mechanics, and that was really our first introduction to that, which was in Moon. And then obviously, yeah, the tunnels are annoying, the astronaut is somewhat annoying, especially on Black Ops 1, but obviously you can get rid of him, you can just sort of glitch him out, and he'll just sit there and dance, which I thought was a really cool feature that they added. You know, okay, the astronaut can actually just sit there and dance. Like, come on, man, why is that, you know, like, how is that not the coolest thing ever? Anyway, so basically, I loved it because the Biodome, great training place. Outside by Muleka, great training place. Basically, there was 3 or 4 really good training spots in the actual map itself. And then you had No Man's Land, which was basically the spawning of one of the hardest and most sought after world records in zombies history, which is basically, if you don't know what No Man's Land is, it's where you spawn in. There is a Pack-a-Punch, and then it's either Jug or Speak Cold, depending on which one you actually spawn in with, and you go back and the other one's actually there. But basically, it spawned one of the hardest challenges ever, and it was so incredibly good. People still go back and play No Man's Land to try to beat the world record today. Like, I think 2 months ago, Scotty actually went back and he got the world record, and over the past 4 years, it's barely gone up at all, which shows you how hard it actually is. And something that I do think they could have done a little bit better is I think they could have done something a little bit more with Tunnel 6, because it's really just pretty bland, right? As soon as you enter Tunnel 6, yeah, there's the MPL wall buy, and then you have to buy another 2 doors, but there's really not much in the tunnel itself. I get it that you actually have to get the ball through there to go through Tunnel 6, whatever, right, to actually do the Easter egg, but other than that, there's really not much of a purpose of Tunnel 6. At least Tunnel 11 has stamina up in it, and has a really good camping spot over by the window that everyone uses on Black Ops 3 now, but still, there's really not much actually there in Tunnel 6, or in the tunnels in general, really. I think that if they had done something better with those, it could have been a much better map, because I think there's a little bit much of wasted space, especially on that part of the map. Spawn, there's not really much, you know, below it, obviously, you can watch the rockets, there's the Simon Says, there's the pads, whatever, right? At least there's something there, but then all of a sudden you go into the tunnels, there's not really much, and then once you get back out there, it's, hey, mystery box, the power, the MPD, and then you go up into the labs, there's a ton of stuff. Biodome, there's a ton of stuff. You go all the way outside, there is more. Like, there's stuff in every part of the map except for right in the tunnels. That sort of annoys me, but I can forgive it because really I understand why, because the excavators, obviously. And I know not everyone's gonna agree that's the best map of all time, but in my mind it really is, especially because I have so much nostalgia towards it. I've done the Easter egg at least 300 or 400 times. Me and my friend Anarch Seashik used to do it at least 2 or 3 times a day. We go into public matches, ask people if they want to do the Easter egg. If they did, we'd carry them through it, we get it done, then we go for a high round. It was such a fun map. It was such a fun Easter egg. I really couldn't ever get enough of it. And it sort of fell out of favor for me for a little while because obviously there were newer maps, and I guess I sort of burned myself out on it. But once Zombies Chronicles came out and Moon was remastered, it was an incredible remaster. There was so much that they did right with it. I don't think that they actually screwed up one thing, to be honest with you. Like, maybe the Nova Crawlers, you know, could use a little bit of, you know, better pathing, but overall, they really kept Moon pretty much the same and fixed some of the annoying glitches with it, and I love Moon. It really is the antithesis of a perfect map to me now, and I really couldn't ask for more from Treyarch. But like I said, this is just one man's opinion. Tell me in the comment section down below, what do you guys think is the best zombies map of all time, and tell me why. I would really love to hear it. I'm going to read all the comments like I said. While you're down there, I'd appreciate a like. Subscribe if you guys are new around here and turn on notifications because you're my daddy. Anyway, I do love you guys, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.